Year, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Joelle Simone Anthony. I am also known as the Grave Woman, and if this is your first time here, I want to ask that you go ahead and hit the subscription button down below, as well as the notifications bell, so that you could be made aware anytime I upload new content. I feel like I haven't talked to you guys in forever. I think the last time I posted a new video was back in November, other than the video I posted earlier today or this week. I don't really know when this is going to get updated or uploaded, but I am back, and I figured it'd be extremely fitting to kick off the year answering some of your questions. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right in. And these are questions that were received directly from the comment section. So if I butcher your name, please forgive me. I'm doing my best. Our first question is from Brenda Eccles, and it reads, question and comment reads, "You sound so compassionate. You're a very special person to do what you do." Thank you, Brenda. I appreciate that. "I'd be crying all the time. I was wondering, how do you control your emotions during the embalming process, especially if you're embalming a child? How were you trained to do this? How were you trained in school to do this? Do families ask questions about the process, or does it stay peacefully quiet due to respect?" Brenda, this is a very good question. So in order to answer this as thoroughly as possible, I'm going to take this piece by piece. First things first, how do I control my emotions during the embalming process, especially when embalming a child? To be honest with you, Brenda, I typically do not get emotional during the embalming process. It's much like, I don't want to make it sound like it's just a job, but when I'm in the embalming room, I'm really not in an emotional place, if that makes sense. I'm always trying to remain compassionate and empathetic to what would be best for the deceased and be respectful to the deceased, but my mind is almost in scientist mode. I'm thinking about the correct combination of chemicals, making the best embalming fluid mixture for the body. I'm listening and looking at the body and thinking about what it needs, and I'm communicating and having a conversation with the deceased based on the information that I've received from the family, from the medical examiner, and from what the body is telling me physically that it needs. As far as embalming children, now that's a little bit different, and I think the thing that helps me with embalming children, and this may differ from embalmer to embalmer, is that I look at death as a divine and divinely ordered event. By that I mean, when I see a child that's deceased, of course it makes me sad. Of course it makes me hurt for their family and their loved ones. But at the same time, it's my understanding that we are born and we're going to die, and unfortunately or fortunately for that child, depending on the manner in which they've passed away, it's just their time to go. So there are situations that are harder and more difficult to deal with than others, and when I become emotional, I honestly just give myself a minute. I honor the feelings that I'm having towards whatever situation there is. Sorry guys, my dog is walking around. Like I was saying, I just try to honor whatever feelings I'm experiencing in the moment and just give myself permission to feel those feelings. But I also remind myself that it's my job to present this child or this person in the best way possible to their family members and loved ones. So that kind of helps me contain those emotions or manage those emotions. Now, you had another part to your question that read, how were you trained in school to do this? And to be honest with you, Brenda, there really was no training for managing emotions in school. And that is why part of the reason why I make these videos, because at least during my training, there wasn't much talk about managing stress and managing emotions and managing, becoming emotional when working with families either in the embalming room, the arrangement conference, or, you know, at other points during funeral planning. So that's why I make videos about self-care, and you've inspired me to make a video about, you know, managing emotions. Maybe I'll do like a 5 tips for managing emotions when working with families, thanks to your question, because I think that is something that needs to be talked about amongst funeral professionals, especially in the educational setting. So the last part of your question reads, do families ask about the process, or does it stay peacefully quiet due to respect? Yes, families definitely ask about the embalming process sometimes, and then sometimes people just don't want to know. So if a family member asks a specific question, I definitely do my best to be as honest and tactful in explaining whatever processes and procedures that they have questions about. But I'm always aware and cognizant of the fact that people, when they ask those questions, sometimes it's out of grief and out of emotion. So I try not to give too much information or become too graphic if I discern that that's not something, that information that needs to be delivered. But I try to be as honest as I can with families, especially when they ask questions about their children, because I can't imagine losing a child. I don't have children, but I imagine that if I did and I was in that situation, I want to know as much as possible. So thank you so much for your question. If you guys have any questions about anything, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I will do my best to answer them in brief videos like this. But my name is Joelle Simone Anthony. I'm also known as the Grave Woman. You can learn more about me and the work that I do at my website, www.thegravewoman.com. You can also follow me on social media at The Grave Woman. And if you feel inspired to, you can support this channel via Patreon. The link will be listed somewhere in the video, around here somewhere, and I'll also put the link in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching. Live life, love hard, and I'll talk to you next time.